Welcome to the 98 Central podcast, where we talk about growing a business, working in media, and building a team that we love. I'm Kyle Drew. I'm the social media strategist here at 98 Central. Seated across from me, as per usual now, is Jen Blair, our COO and brand director. Jen, we have a really fun episode today.
Yes.
And to kick us off down the trail of SEO, I'd love to hear about your first venture into SEO. It's something I feel like a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah. I got hired to be an SEO and I did not know what SEO was. Super fun. Really pulled the wool over their eyes, I guess. Yeah. But no, ironically enough, before I went onto this job interview, I Googled what is SEO, read a lot. Apparently it really integrated into the memory and I got hired. So now, after that moment, it was like, well, I guess I really better figure out what this is because I got to do it for a living now.
Yeah. What was that process like for you? Was it just, different YouTube videos, blogs? What was that like?
So the SEO Moz blog, like their whole Learn SEO section, I think was probably like the first thing that really put me through the ringer, I guess. But then so much of it is really just doing it.
Yeah.
Once you get the basics down, you just have to, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. If you know words and if you know how to put words together and you know what words mean, you can be an SEO.
Yeah. I feel like new age SEO is like, does this make sense? Like, it's just, is this sensical? Like,
Is this thoroughly explaining a topic? Is it using relevant words?
That Moz blog helped me
so
too
great.
When I started. I actually
it's
just
still
shared
great.
it. Yeah. I shared it with Hannah on our team to like get her started on it. I also shared it with a friend this weekend who's like applying for a reporting job and needs to know SEO, and she was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, great.
So we're talking about SEO today, but we're the social team.
Yeah.
How are we going to blend these things together? I don't know if anyone listening has read this report that I feel like just went crazy a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. TikTok as a search engine. The usage trends are suggesting that it's the new age social or new age search engine. Yeah. But it's a social tool.
Yeah.
What gives? Like, how do those two things come together?
Right. But it's also for a specific age group.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, if history likes to repeat itself, and we know that it does, what happens in younger age groups tends to be adapted by older age groups, by the older folks, and then continues to be a trend then until the next generation comes along and just disrupts everything all over again. The thing that really caught our eye was an article on social media today that quoted that nearly 40% of 18 to 24-year-olds use TikTok as a search engine over Google. And then the senior vice president at Google also said that in their studies, in Google studies, that things that Google is like analyzing on their own, that 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google Maps or search. They go to TikTok or Instagram. He mentioned Instagram. I have beef with that because I feel like Instagram is so far behind the game on search. I think they only really started doing keyword-based searches like very a year recently, or two ago. Yeah. It wasn't very long ago at all. I think the
only advantage that Instagram has, at least for that particular search, is probably just location data.
Yes.
It's something that we just talked about. Yeah. But TikTok it's kind of off in terms of the location. It's like it can use your location while you're using the app, but it hasn't
knows where you are.
Yeah, it hasn't integrated that into search yet.
Right.
I think it's coming. A matter of time.
It's a matter of time. If they're smart, and I think they are, then it's going to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's going to, I feel like it's going to crush Google.
Oh, yeah.
Gen Z is already using TikTok as search engine.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing that they would go elsewhere for. That's bad news.
And so is Google afraid of this? Yeah, absolutely. Because if you consider that Google is getting millions of searches every minute, 40% of a smaller age group is a huge amount.
Yeah.
And so that's only going to grow. But why do you think that they are doing that? Why do you think that they're going away from Google?
Yeah, well, that's, I think that there are a few reasons, right? One is just the way that they consume content. They were raised, this may be an unfair like blanket statement, but they were raised on media differently than even I was, 10 years before them.
Yep.
They were raised with screens in front of them, with access to the internet. Like they understand like seeing versus reading. And I think that that's the big thing too. And that's something that we've seen in a lot of articles about this particular stat is Gen Z doesn't want to read your life story before they get to the recipe.
Yeah.
Show me the recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to the point here.
Right.
And attention span, that's something like whether you're starting your video, whether you're starting your blog post, whatever it is, people's attention span is just going down the tubes. And I think the younger that you get, the less of an attention span that you have.
Yeah.
We're talking 3 seconds now.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear about how you ate this sandwich on the beach in California, and
your
all of a sudden you needed to figure out how to make it. Your grandmother's tomatoes.
Right. And what she meant to you and which season reminds you the most of her.
And which kid eats your tomatoes and which kid doesn't, you know? So, but the thing about that is once you know SEO and once you know the structure, once you know the hierarchy, once you know all the points and the relevancy and just all the things that go into it, when you see those kinds of optimized blog posts, they're grating.
Yeah.
They drive me insane when all of a sudden I'm like, okay, gosh, I don't want to hear tomato sandwich one more time.
Right.
And I don't want to see it in another headline. Like I get the point. Right. So all that to be said, attention spans, we want to get to the point and we want to see it in a way that feeds that constant need for stimulation.
Yeah.
And you said something really cool before we started this about the candy store.
Do tell.
You said it. You tell me.
What was it? This is actually just a headline that I read that basically TikTok affects the brains of the younger generation, kind of like a candy store filled with all of these new interesting things. I mean, you don't have to like sift through a line of people to go see what the new candy is. It's there.
And it's
sugary.
You want.
It looks great. You know exactly what you're going to get before you buy it.
Yeah.
And it's that constant knowing that you're only a few seconds away from whatever the stimulation or the success is. Like it's I think it's really similar to like the TikTok experience.
Yeah.
It's rapid. But so one thing I think I want to pull it back a little bit and talk about maybe just like the fundamentals of SEO really, right? And then how they play into social, how they play into TikTok specifically. Yeah. So if you're a social media coordinator, social media marketer at all, maybe you don't know a ton about SEO in like the formal sense. You do. Like you know what SEO is. You know what delivering quality content that answers a specific question. Like you understand. And that's
you understand how to hit the drum and how to say how to send those signals that we are about this thing. We talk about this thing. We help people with this thing. That is relevancy. That is hitting your keywords. That is sending the right signals to the platform to say, this is why I'm here and this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
We always say like, we go by a pillar strategy, really. So, you know, these are the 4 or 5 things that we talk about that we hit over the head. And in some ways, you can kind of see those as your keyword strategy, too. You can align a keyword strategy to your content pillars. And I used to wonder, and I hear a lot in my career, it's like, well, how do you do so much? Like, why did you go to SEO and copywriting and like web analytics and all of this? Honestly, I don't know how you don't end up knowing all of those things and how you don't get that range of experience when you are in this world, because it's impossible to separate them.
Right. Yeah.
And the more you know about the others, the more of an effective content creator you can be, the more of an effective marketer you can be. So all that being said, one of the things that I really like to do is think about, okay, if TikTok is becoming a search engine, what models do we have out there that we can look at and kind of adapt to see, okay, what trend is going to happen? What can we learn from things that Google messed up on or user experience improvements that Google has made? And is TikTok kind of on the road to doing those things? Yeah. So we kind of made a list of, what can we learn from Google versus what can we throw out? Yeah. And how can we take those things and adapt it to TikTok?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've taken some core SEO principles in history, and we're going to talk about how those can either pave the way or help us think about a TikTok SEO strategy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And this will be, I think this will be good for both people who are newer to SEO, but then also new to a TikTok strategy. Yeah. It's a really good, it's becoming the new place to kind of blend these elements. Let's just dive right into the very first item on our list.
Yeah. So the first thing I wrote down was Panda and Penguin. So when I first started in SEO, I think I was on the tail end of, I always get them mixed up. I will admit it. I never remember which one is which. But when I first started, I was on the tail end, I think, of the link building one, whichever one that is. So Panda and Penguin were two massive changes to the core Google algorithm that really changed the way that search worked. So one of them targeted poor, low quality link building. So in SEO, a link to your website is treated as a vote of confidence in your website, right? So the more links that you have back to your site, the more Google assumes that people like your content, they find it useful, they want to share it. The other one was low quality content. And so basically that was, are you keyword stuffing? Are you putting white words on a white background with all of these different search queries that you can think of that are just misleading people to think that your content is about something that it's not about?
Yeah.
So with both of those updates, they kind of obliterated ways that people were cheating the algorithm. Because again, when you put your content in front of people, when you get it to the top of the search engine, that is money in your pocket. That is a way that you can make money. That is a way that you can get business. And so they wanted to make it the best user experience possible with the most true to form, I guess, like the most honest search results that you can possibly get. So for TikTok, what does that mean for TikTok?
Yeah. I think it's funny because it translates, I think, really nicely over to TikTok too. So one of the biggest drivers of TikTok post performance is quality, like at mentions. So TikTok posts that mention another person that is relevant to the content too. Maybe they're featured in it. That drives content performance. Yeah. So that to me, that's the same thing as a quality link.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that, the low quality content piece, you could do the same thing on TikTok, right? I mean, you could put in my caption something about, I don't know, the beach.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm not talking about the beach at all in my video. Even my on-screen text is about the beach, but I'm not delivering an experience that the user is anticipating.
Maybe you're like doing some kind of spammy, like, oh, go buy these clothes from this .ru website or something like that. Yeah.
But then I think what TikTok takes a step further is our users aren't watching this video all the way to completion, or they're only watching 2 seconds. They're not even watching past 3 seconds because it's not relevant to them. But they're using that data point to say, okay, this piece of content isn't relevant for this topic.
Yeah.
And then
we're not going to show it.
It kind of gets buried.
Yeah. And think about, if you're looking at a trending sound, if you're looking at trending, just going through that list of trends, like, right, you see something that shows up on your page and you're just watching video after video and it's the same thing. And then you get hit with something that's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And how frustrating is that to be thrown out of that experience?
Yeah.
And I think that you could Google, I'm going to say this so many times, in TikTok, you can search for something and you'll get stuck in those trends. But then when that thing pops up, it just takes you out of that experience. Yeah. And so I think what they're going to see, what TikTok is going to see, is kind of putting the kibosh on that. They're not going to let that low quality content like leach into the stuff that you're really looking for, and that intent. They want that intent to remain pure, I would think.
Yeah.
Because if that's how people are making money, if people are spending ad dollars, if people are coming back and using that platform and keeping it open, they're ultimately, I feel like the company is going to want to do everything they can to keep people in the truest experience possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I think you nailed it. You can see this the most in like trending challenges or things like that.
Yeah.
Whether it's a dance or like some sort of challenge, you're scrolling, you see all of the same type of video, you've searched the hashtag, you want to see this particular thing.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes in that doesn't really fit the trend, you're done.
You're done.
Like, you're done
you're
with
just
it.
Out of it.
And so TikTok doesn't want that. Same thing for Google. I'm searching a recipe for chicken pot pie. I don't want to go to like a tire shop, or something like that. It's the same. I think it's the same principle.
Awesome. Yeah. So then the next thing are meta descriptions, right?
Yeah.
So what's a meta description in SEO?
Meta description basically describes the page that you're about to land on. It's a good place to put keywords without keyword stuffing. Oh man, what is the character length now? It's shorter. It's like 170 now.
Yeah, it changed. I literally, every time I have to write one, I will Google it to see what's the current recommendation from
Still PTSD from writing several meta descriptions at once.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so much PTSD from that. But basically what that does is then it's also displayed in your search results page, right? Yeah. And so that gives you an indicator of what that's about and what you can find on that page. And the better your meta description, the more keyword rich it is, the more you can entice people to click onto it. So on TikTok, what makes people click? If they search for something, what makes people click on that video?
Yeah. So TikTok's meta description it's your combination of your thumbnail and whatever text you have on that thumbnail.
Yeah.
As well as whatever copy you have if you're searching for a certain term and it's in the copy, like it'll just highlight it so you know that that's relevant for what you're looking for. But that does the same thing. It describes the video that you're about to see. You get a feel for like what the information on the page is going to be like. In TikTok, this is what this video is going to be structured like. This is what you're going to see. Perfect. I feel like that's another perfect translation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, so it's interesting with TikTok, when you choose a certain cover image, it kind of does like a Giphy type thing, right? Where it kind of flashes. So if you choose that wisely, you can get 2 shots in of something really dynamic and really eye-catching that can make somebody want to click on that even more. It's such a teaser to the content of that video. And then if you get text on there and you help explain like either what the thing is or a hook that makes people really want to dive in and understand like, oh, what's this mystery? What's this thing that you've intrigued me to learn more about? That's going to make them click.
Yeah. Yeah. It's another good opportunity too for, this may be less relevant in a meta description, but voice, like it's an opportunity to show your brand's voice. If you include some text in that thumbnail. It's also, it's branding. Branding is just repetition. Can all my thumbnails look the same but deliver a different experience? Same thing with the meta description. Can we attract people to the several different pages describing it in a way that's familiar?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's another good one.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is more of a guess than a science, I guess.
Yeah.
So in SEO, you have a very clear hierarchy of how your content needs to go on the page. You have, your H1 tags, your H2 tags, H3, paragraph tags. All of that gives really clear information about how that page is structured, and it helps search engine crawlers know how to layer that information and how to index it.
Yeah.
So on TikTok, what do we think that could be?
This is the one. I feel like this is the one that we're guessing with the most, but knowing that TikTok has default captions now, so clearly it has some sort of transcription tool. I feel like it's the hook, right?
Yeah,
it's the hook tells you that first maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds. This is where I'm kind of guessing now, but whatever you open that video with, that's your H1 tag.
Yeah.
That's telling your audience what the rest of this video is going to be about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that too, like you were saying, we're convinced that TikTok can transcribe verbal like sound into words that then it uses for relevancy, because there's things that we see, like you mentioned something about, oh, you could search for shoes and you can kind of go and browse and do whatever. But then later on, maybe in the next hour, maybe in the next day, you're getting people talking about shoes, or you're getting it in some other context. And so it's picking up on these clues and these keys and things that you're looking for. And it's feeding you that content that it thinks is relevant. So I think that that's a really good guess to assume that if you're hitting that first, if you're saying it, if you're structuring your info, then it's somehow taking it into account.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine they wouldn't use that data if it was available to them.
Yeah. And I think that's still one of the things that kind of scares me a little bit about TikTok, is just how much they have on all of us.
I think that there's, it's a little bit off topic now, but they have so much data, right? But they also like use it really well. Like they know what this data point tells them about your content consumption
and how to improve the user experience.
And they have no problem changing things.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's imagine if we don't shame other platforms, but imagine if Facebook had figured out how to use that data effectively 10 years ago. There might not be a TikTok. Like there would be no need for one. So.
Right. Okay. So alt text. Alt text is another thing, mostly for images, to help people with visual impairments understand what an image is about. Yeah. In SEO, it's also been, depends on which school of thought you follow. A lot of people use alt text as another way to get keywords in and to help support the content of the page. But ultimately, I think if you're describing an image the way a visually impaired person needs to see it, that's the most helpful thing. Yeah. So on TikTok, is there an equivalent for alt text?
Yeah, I think there's kind of two, and I think we've touched a little bit on both of them. But for comparison's sake, again, any text that you put on your thumbnail, kind of an alt text describes what you're looking at. And then again, with transcription and captions, another place that obviously if you're talking about a very specific thing in your video. It's going to be transcribed, and that word or that phrase is going to appear naturally very often in your content.
Right. And so ultimately, if you're describing what you're doing, if you're describing what you're seeing, if you're describing the things that are happening, that's going to only buffer and support your searches and your keywords. Yeah. Okay, so here's a fun one, is domain authority.
Yeah.
So in SEO, domain authority is all about how much, I mean, maybe this is too obvious to say how much authority your domain has, but that includes how long your domain has been around. So if you have a website that has been established for 15 years, it's going to have a higher domain authority than somebody who just started out 2 or 3 years ago. That also takes into account links that are coming to your page. It accounts for how long people are staying on it, how many times it's been clicked on as the first result in Google. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I think longevity is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
So does that feed into TikTok?
Yeah, I think it does, and it's maybe not a direct translation, but I think it's, if you have created a profile or an account that does one thing or one very specific thing, or you've kind of cemented yourself as the expert on one thing. This is basically just branding, repetition. But if you, I wish I could think of a good example off the top of my head. Maybe I should have done that before. The girl who, she was a private chef in the Hamptons.
The private chef in the Hamptons.
Every single video starts the same way.
Yep.
If you're looking for private chef content, without looking, I can tell you that she probably pops up
the first
top 5.
Side note, she went to Clemson. Did you know that?
I had no idea. I saw that she ended her private chef hood.
I
don't know.
I was like, oh, that's so sad. I'm sure she's going to go somewhere else. It's the end of summer. So that's probably what happened there. But at any rate, so long story short, domain authority. So like if you're beating that drum, if you have a track record within the platform that people are commenting, that they are liking, that they are sharing, that they are remixing, or whatever it is called on TikTok. Sound like such a professional when I do that. But if all of these signals are being fulfilled, then it's going to probably heighten your domain authority. You'll have more chances, I say domain authority in quotes, but you'll have more chances to get in front of people who are searching for the thing that you talk about. If you're beating that drum.
Or that TikTok thinks that you're interested in. Because that's the other thing that TikTok does differently than Google. Google will show you what you ask it to show you for the most part. TikTok will show you what it thinks you want to see.
Yes, it forces it in front of you.
Yeah, so that's one reason why being very, I think I've said it a million times, so I can't say it enough, being consistent with your brand's messages, which evolve into your key messages, which evolve into those handful of things that you repeat a million times. If you feel like you're doing it too much, you're doing it right.
Yeah. And then on top of that too, it's also the amount of fresh content that you put out. Yeah. Because that's another one that, Google takes into account is, that if that's why people encourage you to have a blog so much, because if you have fresh content, if you have more relevant, recently updated content, then that shows a signal that, hey, this is an active site that you should care about and you should go to. And of course, TikTok, that's one of the things people are saying. You need to post 3 times a day. You need to post this many times a day. And it's because, hey, it's fresh content. They're using this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Another good one.
And one that we kind of talked about a little bit. I guess we can elaborate a little bit more. Yeah. There's more signals than inbound links. So one of the best ways to prove on Google that you are a trustworthy, helpful website is to get inbound links to your site. So there are people out there that their job is link building. They reach out to other websites, they reach out to publications, and they try to get links into their site. And that helps rise their domain authority. It helps get them higher in the SERPs. It does all these things. So on TikTok, there are no links that are coming in. They're not necessarily, you could link to a TikTok, but is that really feeding into that creator's profile? Probably not, but there's so many other things, right?
Yeah. So there's different, I think it's probably more fair to say there's just more data points for TikTok to consider to say like, this is high quality content. More people need to see this, or people searching for X need to see this content or this profile. And I think when you break it down, you talked about inbound links being a big, a big action that's kind of third party that sites can take to build their
it's
authority.
Other people. Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be other people that just on their own decide like, hey, this is great.
Yeah. So on TikTok, let's talk about those like data signals, right? So you just in order of level of engagement, a view, right? I watched the video. I liked the video. Now I'm going to comment on the video. I'm going to comment several times. I'm going to reply to a comment that's more engaged. I'm going to share that video. I'm going to save that video. I'm going to visit the user's profile. As all of these different data points that kind of, as you go down that list, tell you how interested in that content somebody is. And I think that kind of feeds that profile or that piece of content's like TikTok SEO. Like it just kind of builds it up. And in a way that I don't think that you can really do on a website with Google, with Google's SEO tactics. Weird that we have to distinguish Google and TikTok as SEO.
I know, but, it's crazy.
But those different data points tell TikTok, and this is going back to the data usage, or I guess it's data, I don't know, understanding really. But all those different data points, they say so many things to the platform and to the algorithm, and you can't overlook like the importance of like getting those engagements. And like if you have 20 million views but no engagements, like
what does it matter? Or what mark are you hitting? I hope that if you have 20 million views, somebody is hitting.
That's And then I was just thinking that like you can disable comments too. So I wonder how that affects the algorithm. So if anyone knows the answer to that, I would love to know.
Right. But it's so interesting because all the things that you wonder, like little things like that will send me just on a rabbit trail of search. So when you're searching about search, where do you go? I would go to Google, but I also like, it's so hard for me. Like I am such a reader. Like I absorb text in a way that I don't know. It's harder for me to get the same out of video. So I can't ever really imagine myself using TikTok as a search engine. But I don't know. Maybe I'll change that one day.
I mean, there are plenty of things that I found. So I've been going through like diet changes, and so I'm like looking up recipes, and that's the best place to go because it's, you don't have to sift through the blog, which I don't mind. Like it's just an easy scroll till I see the little recipe icon.
No, the best thing that they can do is put jump to recipe at the top. That's if you are a blogger and you do that, you are my hero.
Shockingly low amount of bloggers do that.
I know.
It's not a complaint. It's just a recommendation. For them. But I can see it. Like I can see it immediately. It's, usually a couple minutes, which is less time than it takes to like read a recipe. But then I don't have to like read the recipe and just kind of, there's a little bit of guessing too on like words into action. But like if it's a video, I can see exactly how they're doing it. That's a good point. I get that. And I feel like I'm at a good, like, I was in like, I'm on the fringe, like millennial Gen Z. So I like had the growing up experience without like basically internet enabled devices. But then like as I started getting old enough to like want to communicate with people, like then I had internet enabled devices. So it was like I had a good blend of like, I don't know, the normal, I'm not gonna say a normal childhood, but I'm like right in the middle, so where I can see the positives of like the TikTok approach to search, but then it's still completely value like Google. Like sometimes I would just rather read about like I don't understand. I don't understand light bulb sizes. I've been trying to. It's much easier to read about it than it is to Google it or to do a TikTok video search of it.
TikTok search. So okay. Long story short, all of this to say that there is value to be had if you want to learn TikTok SEO. I can't imagine that there's too much documented about it yet. At least not as thoroughly as it has been for search engine SEO. Does that make sense? Anyway, start with what we know. Start with Moz. Start with learning how things are indexed in search engines and make those lateral connections. And hopefully what we've done here is given anybody who's listening a nice little dictionary or primer or map of some sort for how you can take a basic knowledge of SEO and turn it into a basic knowledge of social SEO. So,
I think that's great. And these are effectively, you're trying to please algorithms, right? And they both want to show content that they feel is relevant, helpful, informative, and they kind of work the same in that way. So if you understand Google's SEO approach, you'll understand TikTok's. TikTok search is great. That's I think another
the big
thing that they
takeaway.
crushed. Yeah. Their search is great.
Yeah.
Their algorithm is really thoughtful. It knows some people get freaked out by seeing things that they feel like they haven't searched for.
Right. I'm okay
As
with
a
it.
marketer, I'm okay
right?
with it
Show me all
because
the
it's,
things.
make it easier for me.
Yeah.
Fine. Here's my money. Yes, I think this is such a good blend of like new age, like strategy and social with kind of like the beginnings of social. And like before you really brought that over into social was like you learned SEO and then
it's the circle of life, y'all. And we're going to start seeing it more and more now that we're getting out of this, the first wave of social media, and more is coming and more is changing. We're just going to start to see this cycle happen. And the more that you can learn about where we were, the more you're going to be able to see where we're going to and just make those connections. So, yeah.
Cool.
So what are you digging this week?
This week I'm digging, what am I digging? It's the last season of it's a show called Atlanta.
Okay.
Donald Glover. It's great. It's really it's hilarious. Such a good show.
I feel like I should know who Donald Glover is, and I probably will as soon as I Google him and see his face.
Yeah.
Great.
Maybe.
No.
I'm interested. Live reaction.
Nope.
No.
No idea. I don't know. I can't recognize people's faces to save my soul.
That's
so
okay. It's a good show. Highly recommend it to anyone out there.
I'll have to check it out. I had other things in my mind, but then I just remembered what I really am digging. I'm digging my Vessies. So I talk about their social media all the time. Yay, camera. So you can kind of see them. But I finally bought a pair of Vessies after watching and stalking their social media and loving it. And I did it because they did this great video where they were having a sale. It was like a back to school sale or something like that. And they just had one of their team members take a phone and do a selfie video that was like, hey, I'm going to let you in on a secret. You can buy a pair of shoes and 3 pairs of socks and pay less than you would have if you just bought the shoes. Because if you bought like 4 things, then you got a 30% off discount. Or if you bought 3 things, you got 25% or something like that. So if you added all those things to your cart, then you saved more money. And then she just like abruptly, we'll just put it in the show notes, just abruptly ended the video as if she was caught. She was like, I'm probably going to get fired for sharing this, and then like blurted it out. And then it looked like somebody smacked the phone out of her hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And I immediately left the app, went to the website and purchased shoes. So well done, Vessi team. You got me.
Shout out Vessi social marketers.
And
what a team.
They're so good. And they're great shoes and they are waterproof. They're super comfortable. Go buy them. Just go spend money. And tell them I sent you.
We need
to link to this podcast.
Yeah, we need to get you an affiliate link.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. So yes, hip hip hooray for Vessi.
Cool.
So
awesome. Another good case study in effective social
I know.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Directly led to ROI. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning into the 9 Central podcast. Again, I'm Kyle. That's Jen. If you want to see some more about what we do, head to 9ac.org, or you can find us on social, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Instagram. We're on TikTok. Yeah. We're working on a strategy for TikTok. We're having fun on TikTok.
Go watch the crazy, weird things we're doing there.
Yeah. Check out some of our work on YouTube as well, and let us know if there's anything we can ever do to help you with. So,
thanks for listening.